I was awake early this morning. I woke up at like 5:45, and I did say 6 last time, but it's feeling like 5:45 now, and so the next service it'll be 4. Don't call me out up here, Isaac. And I was scrolling through Facebook and enjoying quiet time before my daughter woke up. And I came across this quote from Joni Mitchell that I really was taken by. And I think it also is relevant for this Shabbat. So I'm going to read it to you. It's a bit long, but I think you'll like it. And then I'm going to say a couple things about it. Everybody has a superficial side and a deep side, but this culture doesn't place much value on depth. That's reflected in the fact that this culture sets up an addiction to romance based on insecurity. The uncertainty of whether or not you're truly united with the object of your obsession is the rush people get hooked on. I've seen this pattern so much in myself and my friends, and some people never get off that line. But along with developing my superficial side, I always nurtured a deeper longing. So even when I was falling into that trap of that other kind of love, I was hip to what I was doing. I recently read an article in Esquire magazine called The End of Sex that said something that struck me as very true. It said, if you want endless repetition, see a lot of different people. If you want infinite variety, stay with one. What happens when you date is you run all your best moves and tell all your best stories. And in a way, that routine is a method for falling in love with yourself over and over. You can't do that with a long-time mate because he knows all that old material. With a long relationship, things die that are rekindled, and that shared process of rebirth deepens the love. It's hard work, though, and a lot of people run at the first sign of trouble. You're with this person, and suddenly you look like a jerk to them, or they look like a jerk to you. It's unpleasant, but if you can get through it, you get closer, and you learn a way of loving that's different from the neurotic love enshrined in movies. It's warmer and has more padding to it. So I was really taken by that, perhaps because I just celebrated my 10-year wedding anniversary, which makes me feel, I know, right? 15 years since we first met. I don't know how I did that, but if I figure out how I did it, I'll tell you. So, as Rabbi Mint said, this is Shabbat Nachamu, the Shabbat of comfort. And it's called that because we just had Tisha B'Av, and it was a day of destruction. And now the prophet Isaiah says, comfort, O comfort my people. And for the next 7 weeks, we read these haftarot, these portions from the prophet Isaiah, that speak of reunification, that speak of coming back together, of repair. The destruction of the temple in our tradition is in some ways compared to a falling apart, not just of a physical building or of a religious space, but also of a relationship, the relationship between God and Jews. It's seen as a disaster in the relationship, and our behavior as a people, which is often referred to at that time as sinat chinam, arguing with each other and not treating each other well, hatred among friends, is seen as a kind of infidelity, actually. It's all compared to a relationship. But then Isaiah comes along, and Joni Mitchell comes along, and they say, actually, what has fallen apart can be put back together. And that, for me, is one of the most important core Jewish sensibilities, to believe that what has fallen apart can be put back together. Now, not every relationship should be put back together, that's for sure. And it's a serious thing, right? Sometimes they're not good for us. But this core idea that we have within us the possibility of repair, of healing, is so central to who we are. And we enter this time of year now as we move towards Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is viewed by the tradition as the renewal of our covenant with God. We're back at the altar it's like a reaffirmation of our marriage vows. And it's an invitation to all of us to look at our relationships with lovers, with friends, with colleagues. Where is there room for healing and growth? That's what this time period really invites us to do as we make our way towards Rosh Hashanah. So I invite you, in the spirit of Joni Mitchell and the prophet Isaiah, to think about that and to welcome into your life the possibility of healing relationships, and also that depth that comes with hanging in there even when things are a little hard with people.